My ex sent me a video asking for help, but he's been dead for months. Before I begin this story, tell me in the comments, where are you watching this from right now? I love seeing how far these stories travel. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Every day I bring a new story full of mystery, fear, and the kind of twists you won't forget. Most people don't realize how terrifying a simple phone notification can be, until it comes from someone who should not be alive. I remember the exact moment. I was sitting on my couch, wrapped in a thin blanket because the heater in my apartment had been acting up again. It was just past midnight, the kind of hour when the world goes quiet and your thoughts get too loud. I had been trying to distract myself with some mindless scrolling, anything to keep my mind from drifting back to him. Daniel. Even thinking his name brought a strange mix of warmth and pain to my chest. He had been gone for 3 months. 3 long, unreal, silent months. His death was something I still hadn't accepted. Not because of denial, but because the whole thing never made sense. A sudden accident, no witnesses, a closed casket funeral, and a rushed investigation that left more questions than answers. But that night I was pretending to move on. Then my phone vibrated. Just a single buzz. I almost ignored it. But then the name appeared on my screen. Daniel. My dead ex. Sending me a message. First, my brain rejected it. My stomach felt cold, like the floor had dropped out from under me. I blinked twice, convinced it was some kind of glitch or maybe a cruel prank. But the message was real. And worse, it contained a video. The preview thumbnail was dark, almost entirely black, except for what looked like the faint outline of a face. A face I knew too well. My heart started hammering so hard I could hear the blood rushing in my ears. I tapped the screen with trembling fingers, half expecting it to vanish like a hallucination. Instead, the video opened. The screen stayed black for 2 seconds. Then I heard it. His voice. Emily, please. You have to help me. Everything inside me froze. My throat tightened, my vision blurred, and for a moment I genuinely thought I might faint. Because even though the image was grainy, even though the lighting was terrible, it was him. Daniel looked exhausted, terrified, and alive. His face appeared dimly, illuminated only by what looked like the glow of a phone screen. His hair was longer, messy. His eyes had dark circles underneath them like he hadn't slept in days. His breathing was shaky, frantic. Emily. If you're watching this, it means I didn't make it out. They found me. My mind raced. I don't have much time, he continued. Please don't trust. And then, suddenly, the video cut. Abruptly. Like it was forcibly stopped. There was no ending. No explanation. Just silence. And my own heartbeat threatening to break out of my chest. I replayed the video again. And again. And again. His voice. His face. His panic. It all felt too real to be faked. But there was something else. Something I hadn't noticed the first time. Faint sound in the background. Like a metallic scrape. Or a door, or maybe chains. Every hair on my body rose. Then, almost as if the universe wanted to push me deeper into madness, another notification popped up. Scene 12:34 a.m. Someone, or something, had just viewed the message thread on Daniel's phone. A phone that was supposed to have been buried with him. I stared at the screen, my breath locked in my chest, my hands trembling uncontrollably. And in that moment, one terrifying thought hit me. If Daniel was dead, someone else was using his phone. Or worse, someone else was with him in that video. Sleep was out of the question. I spent the rest of the night sitting on the edge of my bed, staring at my phone like it was something alive, something dangerous. The message thread with Daniel stayed open. The video paused on the last frame where his eyes, frightened, pleading, were frozen in pixelated desperation. Every time I blinked, my mind would replay his voice. Emily, please. You have to help me. By 4 a.m., I still hadn't convinced myself that this was a hallucination. I had imagined a lot of things since his death. Dreams, memories, flashes that fooled me for a second, but never anything as real as this. A message with metadata. Video file. Timestamp. and someone on the other end who had just opened the conversation. Someone out there had access to Daniel's phone. Someone alive. Or something. I tried to rationalize it. I told myself it could be a hacker, a number recycling glitch, a stolen device that someone reactivated. But all those theories crumbled the moment I rewatched his expression in the video. He wasn't acting. I knew his face better than I knew my own reflection. That terror in his eyes. It was real. At 6:17 a.m., after hours of fighting my own spiraling thoughts, another notification appeared. Not a message. Not a call. Location ping. A live location sent from Daniel's number. My heart nearly stopped. It was just a single red dot on a map, pulsating slowly like a heartbeat. The coordinates pointed to a place on the outskirts of the city, an industrial area that had been mostly abandoned for years. Factories that shut down, warehouses sold off to whoever had money and zero scruples. The kind of place where screams wouldn't echo far. I zoomed in, and my stomach twisted. The point wasn't near a building. It was inside one. A warehouse labeled Block E7. I'd never heard of it. My first instinct was to call the police. But what would I say? Hi, yes, I received a video from my dead ex-boyfriend. And now his phone is sending me live coordinates. Please send a squad car. They'd think I was insane. Or worse, they'd ignore it entirely. And besides, a part of me didn't trust them. Something about Daniel's death always felt rushed. Too neatly wrapped up, too quickly dismissed. Like someone wanted the case closed before anyone asked questions. I got dressed, threw on a jacket, and headed out. The sky was gray, the air heavy, and the streets still empty from the early hour. Every step felt like I was walking deeper into something I couldn't turn back from. On the bus ride across town, I kept replaying the video, trying to notice every detail. The shadows behind him. The metallic noise. The flickering light. At one point I paused the video and held the phone an inch from my face. There was something on his neck. A bruise. No, more like a symbol. A dark marking, half hidden by the collar of his shirt. I zoomed in further, but the pixels blurred it. Whatever it was, it looked intentional. When the bus reached the industrial zone, my nerves started to spike. The air here felt different. Colder, heavier, as if the buildings themselves were watching me. Block E7 wasn't hard to find. It was the one structure that looked alive. A faint glow behind some of the windows, like machines running inside. And then my phone buzzed. Another message. From Daniel's number. My breath caught in my throat as I opened it. No text. No video. Just a single image. A photo of a dark hallway, with a tall, blurred figure standing at the end. And beneath the image, automatically generated by the phone. Taken now. I felt the blood drain from my face. That hallway. It looked exactly like the inside of Block E7. Meaning whoever took that photo was inside the building with me standing right outside. Another message came through immediately. This time text. Don't come in. The words made my chest tighten like a fist had grabbed my heart. I swallowed hard, stepping back instinctively. But before I could move further, a third message arrived. It's already too late. A chill raced down my spine. And then, the warehouse door creaked. Slowly. Deliberately. Someone was inviting me in. Or warning me not to run. I stood there frozen, staring at the half-open entrance, feeling the weight of every terrible possibility crushed down on me. If Daniel was truly gone, who was sending these messages? And if he wasn't, what the hell had happened to him? I took a shaky breath and stepped inside. The moment I stepped inside, the temperature dropped so sharply it felt like I had walked into a refrigerator. The air was thick, metallic, with a faint chemical smell that burned the back of my throat. The door behind me closed on its own with a heavy thud. Not slammed, but pushed, as if by someone standing just out of sight. Froze. For a moment, I thought about running back and forcing it open, but something inside me kept pulling me forward. Maybe it was fear. Maybe it was desperation. Maybe it was the haunting possibility, the smallest, most fragile hope, that Daniel might still be alive. The interior of the warehouse was dimly lit by weak fluorescent lights, some flickering, others completely dead. The long corridor ahead of me matched the photo I'd been sent. Same cracked tiles, same exposed pipes running along the ceiling, same eerie emptiness. Pulled out my phone. No signal. Course. But the message thread with Daniel was still open, still glowing on my screen. I kept it there like a lifeline. My footsteps echoed far more loudly than they should have. The sound bounced off the walls in unsettling ways, as if something was walking behind me, mimicking my pace a half-second too late. I forced myself not to look back. About 20 feet in, a door on the right caught my eye. Rusty metal, slightly ajar, a faint light flickering inside. Against all logic, I felt drawn to it. I pushed it open slowly. The room was small, maybe a break room once, but now it was stripped down to concrete. No windows, no furniture, just a single metal chair in the center facing the wall. And on the wall, my blood ran cold. Screens, 8 of them. Old monitors stacked in 2 rows. They were all turned on. Every screen showed a live camera feed of different parts of the warehouse. Always, stairwells, loading docks, rooms filled with equipment I didn't recognize. But one screen, top left, made my breath stop. Showed the entrance, the exact place where I had just walked in. And there I was, standing alone. Except I wasn't alone. Behind my image, barely visible in the corner of the frame, was a figure. Watching. My heart slammed against my ribs. I whipped around, but the corridor behind me was empty. I stared at the screen again. The figure was gone. I didn't realize my hands were trembling until I nearly dropped the phone. Then I noticed something else. A small red light blinking beneath the screens. A recorder. The timestamp flashing rapidly. And next to it, a stack of VHS tapes, each labeled with a date. My chest tightened painfully. The most recent tape was labeled, Daniel. Day 89. 89 days. That was almost exactly how long he had been dead. My fingertips hovered over the tape but didn't touch it. A part of me wanted to snatch it up, run home, and shove it into any player I could find. But another part, the part that had kept me alive all these years, told me that if I took anything from this place, someone would know. Someone already knew I was here. My phone vibrated in my hand. New message. From Daniel's number. But this one wasn't a warning. It was a video call request. My heart dropped into my stomach. The screen pulsed with his name. Call rang once, twice. Then, without my touching anything, it answered itself. The screen went black for a moment. Then the camera turned on. I saw a ceiling first, stained, cracked, old. Then the camera tilted, slowly, shakily. And I saw him. Daniel. Not the Daniel from the first video. This version looked worse. So much worse. His skin was pale, almost gray. His eyes were sunken, hollow, but wide with the same terror I'd seen before. His hair was damp with sweat. And around his neck, the mark, the same dark symbol. Clearer now. Like a brand burned into his skin. Emily, he whispered, his voice hoarse, ragged. You need to leave. Right now. They're coming. My throat tightened painfully. Daniel, where are you? What happened to you? He shook his head violently. No time. You shouldn't have come. They know you're here. Who? Daniel, who? He flinched suddenly, looking off screen. His breath hitched. Then someone, grabbed him by the shoulders and yanked him backward out of view. He screamed. The camera toppled sideways. I saw a boot step into frame. Then a hand, gloved, black, reached down and covered the camera. The call ended. I stood in the silent room, trying not to collapse. My heart was racing so hard it felt like it might tear itself apart. For a moment, all I could hear was the buzz of the fluorescent light above me. And a step. Real ones. Low. Heavy. Approaching. From the hallway. Someone was coming toward the room. Daniel's last words echoed in my mind. They're coming. I backed away from the monitors, eyes fixed on the door, pulse hammering in my throat. A shadow appeared under the doorway. Then a voice, low, distorted, unfamiliar, spoke through the metal. "Emily, we've been expecting you." The voice froze me where I stood. It wasn't Daniel's. It wasn't anyone I recognized. It sounded distorted, like someone speaking through a damaged intercom, their words stretched and warped in a way that made my skin crawl. "Emily, we've been expecting you." Expecting me. I swallowed hard, trying to keep my breathing quiet. The footsteps outside the room stopped, right at the threshold. Whoever was there wasn't coming in yet. They were waiting, watching. I looked around desperately for anything I could use as a weapon. A piece of metal, a broken chair leg, anything, but the room was barren. My only advantage was that the lights in here flickered enough to distort movement. Another step. A slow, heavy scrape on the floor. I forced myself to speak, even though my throat felt like it was closing. "Who are you?" My voice shook. "What do you want from me?" A low chuckle rumbled from behind the door. The sound was wrong, like it had been edited, layered, not meant to come from a human throat. "We want what Daniel wanted," the voice answered. "For you to join him." My stomach twisted violently. The door handle rattled. I stepped back instinctively, my hands shaking so hard I nearly dropped my phone again. I clutched it like a lifeline, even though I knew I had no signal, no help coming. But then something caught my eye. In the corner of the room, almost hidden by shadows. A vent cover. Loose. Barely hanging on. It was small but maybe, just maybe, big enough. The door handle rattled again, harder this time. "Emily, open the door." Whoa. No, I wasn't going to stand there and wait for whatever was on the other side. Without giving myself time to think, I lunged for the vent, dropping to my knees. I jammed my fingers under the metal plate, lifting as hard as I could. The screws were already stripped, as if someone else had tried the same escape route before me. Someone like Daniel. The thought sent a jolt through me. The handle twisted violently. I ripped the vent cover free just as the door burst open. A tall figure filled the doorway, backlit by the hallway lights. They wore a black hood, a mask, and some kind of tactical gear, but not military. More like experimental. Hardened plates. Ooh. Something humming softly, like a machine inside the suit was breathing for them. I scrambled into the vent, metal scraping my knees. Before I could pull the cover back, the figure lunged forward and grabbed my ankle. Cold gloves clasped around my skin. I screamed and kicked wildly, my heel connecting with something solid. The grip loosened just enough for me to yank myself deeper into the narrow tunnel. The masked figure reached into the vent, arms stretching unnaturally far, fingers grasping at empty air. But I was just out of reach. "You can't run from this," the distorted voice growled. "You came too far." I didn't respond. Crawled. Pressed. My palms slid across dust and rusted screws and something sticky I didn't want to identify. The tunnel was claustrophobic, every movement loud, every breath shaky. Behind me metal groaned. They were trying to widen the vent. I pushed myself faster, my heartbeat pounding in my ears. The vent turned sharply to the left, and I nearly slammed into the corner. My elbows burned. My knees were bleeding. But I kept going. After what felt like forever, I reached a grate overlooking another room. Larger, better lit, and horrifyingly familiar. It was the room from the video. The one Daniel had filmed in. My breath caught in my throat. The chair was still there. The dim overhead light. Even the dark stain on the concrete floor, the one I had assumed was shadow, was real. I pressed my eye against the grate, scanning the room. No Daniel. No one else. But on the floor, something glinted. His necklace. The one I had given him on our 1-year anniversary. A small silver bar engraved with his initials. My heart cracked. I had to get in there. I pushed gently against the grate. It creaked but didn't budge at first. The screws were rusted but still intact. I braced one foot against the wall of the vent and pushed harder. The metal popped open with a loud clang. Froze. Waited. Listen. No footsteps. No voices. Just silence. I dropped down into the room, landing hard on the floor. Pain shot up my ankle, but I ignored it. I rushed to the necklace, scooping it into my hand. The metal was warm, recently touched. I closed my fist around it, my mind racing. If Daniel had been here recently, then someone moved him. Someone was watching him. Someone was. A soft chime echoed from my phone. My heart plummeted. Another message. From Daniel's number. I hesitated, then opened it. Single sentence. You're in the wrong room. My breath hitched. My skin turned cold. Before I could react, the lights in the room flickered violently. Once, twice, then turned blood red. Footsteps thundered in the hallway outside. Multiple footsteps. Not one person. Several. I looked toward the only exit, the door. A shadow appeared under it. Then another. Then another. The handle began to turn. I staggered backward, heart racing, Daniel's necklace clenched tight in my fist. The red lights pulsated like a heartbeat, bathing the entire room in a sickening glow. The door creaked open. And this time, more than one figure stepped inside. The police station smelled like cold metal and burnt coffee, the kind of place where hope went to die quietly. I sat on the hard plastic chair, my hands trembling, my mind still replaying the video of Adam's face in that dark alley. The detective who finally came to speak with me looked too tired to pretend he cared, but he tried anyway. So, he said, flipping open a notepad, you received a video? From your deceased ex-boyfriend. Hearing someone else say it out loud made me feel insane. I nodded slowly. Yes, it was him. It was Adam. Same voice, same face, same scar on his eyebrow from when he fell off his skateboard at 17. Same everything. The detective sighed, and I saw the judgment slip through his expression like a crack in glass. And you're sure this isn't some kind of prank? Or maybe someone using old footage? My hands curled into fists on my lap. He said my name. He looked straight into the camera and said, Emily, please. I don't have much time. That wasn't old footage. The detective paused, tapping his pen against the table. Okay. Do you still have the video? I reached for my phone, but the screen was black. Not locked. Not off. Completely dead, even though I had charged it that morning. It won't turn on, I muttered, heart pounding. But it was here. I swear. The detective leaned back in his chair. Miss Carter, without evidence, there's not much we can do. Of course that would be the answer. I walked out of the station with a weight in my chest that felt like grief and rage twisted together. Was I losing my mind? Had I imagined it? No, I didn't hallucinate every detail. The panic in his eyes, the shadows behind him, the bruises. Something was wrong. And no one was going to help me. I needed someone who actually knew Adam. Someone who remembered him like I did. Someone who wouldn't dismiss me. So I went to the last person I ever wanted to see again. His twin brother, Aaron. We hadn't spoken in nearly a year. Not since the night of Adam's funeral, when grief had pushed Aaron into a rage that made him blame me for everything. I remembered his voice cracking, his eyes red. His hands shaking as he accused me of not doing enough, of not being there at the right time, of not noticing the signs. But now, he was my only chance. When he opened the door, the shock on his face was immediate. Emily, he said, blinking as if he expected me to vanish. What are you doing here? His living room looked exactly like Adam's old apartment. Messy, stacks of books everywhere, sketches pinned to the walls, the kind of chaos only a creative mind could thrive in. I need to talk to you, I said, stepping inside before he could refuse. It's about Adam. Aaron froze. His voice dropped to a whisper. Don't do this. I can't. I'm not in the place to. I got a video from him. Aaron's entire body went still. For a long, agonizing moment. He didn't blink. Didn't speak. Didn't even breathe. What did you just say? I got a video, I repeated. Yesterday. He said my name. He asked for help. Aaron swallowed hard, his throat visibly tightening. Emily. Adam is dead. I know what I saw. Suddenly, Aaron turned away from me, pacing across the room like someone trying to escape their own thoughts. I've been seeing him too, he said quietly. My breath caught. What? Aaron stopped pacing and looked at me with eyes full of terror, the kind of terror you only see in someone who's been silently unraveling for a long time. For the last 2 weeks, he whispered, I've seen him in reflections. In windows. In my phone screen. Always for a split second. Always disappearing before I can reach him. He took a shaky breath. I thought I was losing it. Everything inside me tightened. Aaron, why didn't you tell anyone? Because it sounds insane, he snapped. And because the last person I tried to talk to about it. He paused, his voice cracking. Called me delusional. The room fell silent. He ran a hand through his hair, shaking. But if you're seeing him too, if he reached out to you, then maybe he's alive, I whispered. Aaron's eyes lifted to mine. No, he said, shaking his head. Not alive. Something else. Something wrong. Before I could ask what he meant, my phone suddenly vibrated in my pocket. My heart jumped. The screen lit up, miraculously working again, with a new notification. One new message from unknown. Tapped it. A single sentence appeared. Stop looking for him. I felt the blood drain from my face. Aaron saw my expression. Emily, what is it? I showed him the screen. He stared at the message, his jaw clenching, his voice dropping to a brittle whisper. Whoever sent that, he said. They know more than we do. I swallowed hard. And then, seconds later, the message disappeared. Completely vanished from my phone. As if it had never existed at all. Aaron stared at the empty screen like it had personally betrayed him. The message, it was right there, he muttered. How does it just vanish? I didn't answer because I didn't know. All I knew was the weight in my stomach, twisting tighter and tighter with every passing second. Someone was watching us. Someone knew we were looking for Adam. And someone clearly didn't want us to continue. But stopping wasn't an option anymore. Not after everything. We need to figure out who sent that video, I said, fighting to keep my voice steady. There has to be some kind of metadata. Location. Something. Aaron nodded slowly. Then we need a computer. Mine's upstairs. We moved quickly. Not running, but walking fast enough that every step sounded like thunder on the wooden floor. His room looked like a storm had blown through. Open notebooks, empty coffee cups, cables tangled around the desk legs. He pushed everything aside and powered on his laptop. Send the video, he said. Tried. But when I opened my phone, the video was gone. All that remained were corrupted fragments. A thumbnail of Adam's face frozen mid-breath, a few seconds of garbled audio, a single frame of the dark alley where he stood. It's like it deleted itself, I whispered. Aaron leaned back in his chair. Or someone deleted it for you. The idea sent shivers crawling up my spine. But I refused to let panic take over. I opened my gallery again, hoping, praying for something, any trace left behind. And then I saw it. Hidden deep inside a folder I didn't remember creating, labeled with a single dash. Inside was one file. Not a video. Text document. Opened it. And my breath caught. The file was full of symbols, lines and lines of strange characters I didn't recognize. But the last line was typed in English. Don't trust the ones who look like him. My hands went cold. Aaron, what does this mean? He pulled the laptop closer, scanning the symbols. This isn't random. It's encrypted. Someone hid a message in here. But who? I whispered. Aaron didn't answer. He was staring at something else, something just below the text. He pointed to it with shaking fingers. There. Look. At the very bottom of the file, in tiny gray letters. GPS origin. 34 degree 1202.1 inch and 118 degree 1756.9. W. Location. A real physical place. Oh my God, I breathed. This is where the video came from. Aaron grabbed his jacket. We're going. Blink. Now. It's late. Emily, he said, voice firm. My brother is either being held somewhere, or something is pretending to be him. Either way, I'm not waiting. I swallowed hard, nodding. We got into his car, the night feeling heavier than it should. The GPS led us out of the city, down winding roads that grew darker and more isolated the farther we drove. No houses, no streetlights, just silence and the occasional rustle of wind against the trees. What even is this place? I whispered. Aaron's jaw tightened. You'll see. Finally, the road ended at a tall chain-link fence topped with rusted barbed wire. Behind it stood an abandoned facility. Long, windowless buildings with peeling paint and shattered doors. The sign on the fence was faded, but some letters were still readable. Subject Research Division. Restricted access. My stomach twisted. What kind of research? Aaron didn't answer because we both suddenly froze. A figure walked across the courtyard inside. Moving like someone unfamiliar with their own limbs. And even in the dim moonlight, I recognized the silhouette. My heartbeat stuttered. That's, I whispered. Adam. Aaron finished, voice cracking. My throat went dry. Adam, or something that looked like him, was walking slowly, rhythmically, like a puppet controlled by invisible strings. His head twitched slightly. His steps were uneven. His arms hung unnaturally straight beside him. I clutched the fence, my breath fogging in front of me. He's alive. But Aaron didn't move closer. Instead, he stepped backward. No, he whispered. That's not him. That's not my brother. Look at the way he moves. The figure suddenly stopped, dead still. And it raised its head and stared directly at us through the darkness. We both staggered back. Oh my God, I muttered. Because his eyes, Adam's eyes, were glowing faintly. Not bright. Not like a flashlight. Just wrong. Wrong enough to freeze the blood in my veins. The figure tilted its head to the side. Then it opened its mouth. Not to speak. To smile. A slow, unnatural smile that stretched far too wide. Aaron grabbed my arm. We need to go. Now. We turned and ran back to the car. And as we did, the sound behind us made my blood run cold. Metal scraping against metal. Like something climbing the fence. It's coming, Aaron whispered. We jumped into the car, slammed the doors shut, and Aaron hit the gas so hard the tires screeched. Trees blurred past. My pulse pounded in my ears. What the hell was that thing? I whispered. Aaron didn't look at me. His knuckles were white on the steering wheel. Emily. He swallowed hard. That wasn't Adam. For the first 5 minutes of the drive, neither of us spoke. The world outside the windows was a smear of darkness and trees, but all I could see, all I could feel, were those glowing eyes staring straight into me. My breath still trembled. Aaron's knuckles were still white. The air inside the car felt suffocating, heavy, as if whatever we had seen was following us, clinging to us. Emily, Aaron finally said, voice barely above a whisper. We didn't see Adam. We saw something pretending to be him. I swallowed hard. But why? Why him? Why us? Aaron kept staring at the road. I don't know. But whatever that thing was, it wasn't human. Part of me wanted to deny it, to cling to reality and logic. But I couldn't forget the way the creature smiled. Too wide. Too stretched. Too wrong. Normal humans don't smile like they're wearing their own skin for the first time. I took a shaky breath. Do you think that facility was experimenting on people? Aaron hesitated. Maybe on more than people. The thought made my stomach twist. But before I could ask what he meant, Aaron slammed on the brakes. The car screeched to a halt. My body jerked forward, my seatbelt digging into my shoulder. Aaron, what are you? He didn't answer. He was staring at something on the road ahead. A man stood directly in our path. Not walking. Not waving for help. Just standing. Motionless. Hands at his sides. Head down. feet planted firmly on the asphalt. And then he slowly lifted his head. My heartbeat stopped. It was Adam. Or at least the face was his. But the eyes, glowing again, faintly, wrongly. No, 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 I whispered. He can't be here. We left him behind the fence. Emily, Aaron said, voice cracked and hollow. That's not him. The figure tilted its head at the same unnatural angle we'd seen before. Then it took a step forward. Aaron, go, I hissed. Go. He hit the gas. The creature didn't move, didn't flinch, didn't step aside. It just stood there, watching as we raced toward it. It's not moving, he yelled. It has to. But it didn't. It stood perfectly still, even as the car sped toward it. And then, just before we hit it, vanished. Not hit, not pushed aside, just gone. We flew past the empty air where it had stood only a second earlier. Aaron let out a strangled gasp, slamming his foot to the floor, desperate to put as much distance as possible between us and whatever that thing was. Oh my God, I whispered. It was waiting for us. Aaron's voice shook. It knows we saw it. It knows we're running. I shivered violently. What does it want? I don't know, he said. But it's not done. We drove until the trees gave way to open roads and streetlights. Civilization, safety, or the illusion of it. When we finally pulled into my apartment building's parking lot, neither of us moved. The car engine ticked softly as it cooled. Aaron exhaled shakily. We can't go to the police. Not with this. They wouldn't believe us. They'd lock us up, he corrected. He was right. We stepped out, still scanning the shadows like terrified prey. Every rustle of leaves made my heart jump. Inside my apartment, I locked the door immediately. Then I locked it again. And then I slid the chain into place. Aaron opened all the lights. Every single one. We need to figure out what that thing is, he said, pacing. If it's connected to Adam. If that facility did something to him. I turned toward him. What are you saying? That they brought him back. Aaron stopped pacing. When he answered, his voice was cold. No, Emily. I'm saying whatever they brought back wasn't him. A chill ran up my spine. But why me? I whispered. Why send me the video? Aaron hesitated. Because you were the last person he loved, he said softly. If something was trying to imitate him, it would need your memories, your connection, your trust. The thought made my stomach churn. So it reached out to me, I muttered. To lure me in. Aaron nodded grimly. And now it knows you saw it. It's not going to stop. Before I could respond, a sudden noise made both of us jump. Soft tap. On the window. Froze. Aaron, I whispered. Did you hear that? Low. Rhythmic. To come. Aaron's eyes widened. Don't look. What? Emily, don't look outside. But I was already turning toward the window. Very slowly. Heart pounding so hard it hurt. And when my eyes reached the glass, I saw him. Adam. Standing outside in the darkness. His face inches from the window. Hands pressed flat against the glass. His eyes glowing faintly. His smile stretched impossibly wide. But it was what he did next that nearly made me scream. He raised one finger to his lips. And whispered. Shoo! My knees weakened. Aaron, I choked out, he's here. Aaron grabbed my wrist, yanking me backward. Get away from the window. But I couldn't move. Because through the glass, Adam's doppelganger tilted his head. And whispered again, barely audible. Let me in. Aaron dragged me back, slamming the curtains shut. My entire body trembled. Emily, he said, voice shaking. Listen to me. I forced my eyes to meet his. That thing, he whispered, is not your ex. And if we let it inside, we're dead. For a long moment, Aaron and I stood frozen in the middle of my living room, listening to nothing but the sound of my own heartbeat pounding in my ears. The world outside the curtains felt alive. Watching, waiting, breathing. I could almost feel Adam's distorted presence pressing against the window through the thin fabric. "Emily," Aaron whispered, "don't go near the curtains. Don't even touch them." I nodded, but my legs felt like they were made of water. My apartment, once warm and familiar, now felt like a trap, a cage with something hunting us from the outside. Every shadow stretched too far. Every silence felt loaded. I swallowed hard. "It knows where I live." Aaron exhaled in a shaky breath. "It probably always knew. The video, the message. None of it was random. It's been watching you. Studying you." A cold shiver crawled up my spine at the thought. Studying me. Learning from me. Using Adam's face like a mask. I pressed my hands to my temples. "What does it want?" Aaron's voice lowered. "Maybe it wants to finish whatever started at that facility. Maybe it wants to replace him. Or maybe..." He hesitated. "Maybe it wants to replace you." I stared at him. "Me. You said it yourself, it reached out to you. It imitated him perfectly. And you answered. You let it into your life." He ran a hand through his hair. "If it can copy faces, maybe it can copy more." My stomach twisted. Before I could speak, a faint sound drifted from the window. Not tapping this time. Breathing. Low. Uneven. Like something was dragging air into lungs that didn't belong to it. Aaron moved toward me, pulling me farther into the hallway. "We have to get out," he whispered. "We can't stay here." "But it's right outside. That's why we leave now. Before it realizes the window is just glass." He grabbed my car keys off the table, but the moment his hand closed around them, the breathing stopped. Silence swallowed the room. And a whisper muffled through the wall. "Emily." My heart nearly burst. "That's his voice," I whispered. "No," Aaron hissed. "It's what it wants you to hear." Again. But this time not at the window. The front door. Aaron's head snapped toward it. "Oh God," he breathed. It moved. I backed up until my spine hit the wall. Another tap. Then a slow, dragging sound, like fingers tracing down the wood. "Let me in." The voice was soft. Familiar in all the worst ways. Aaron grabbed my arm. "We're leaving through the back." "But..." "Now, Emily." We ran through the kitchen toward the back door. My hands fumbled with the lock, my breath shaky as adrenaline buzzed beneath my skin. Aaron peeked through the peephole of the front door while I got the back door open. He froze. "Oh my God. What? What do you see?" He stepped back, face pale. "It's smiling. Straight at the peephole. Like it knows I'm watching." I didn't want to imagine that. We slipped out into the alley behind the building. Cold wind slapped against my face, and the night felt sharper, somehow meaner. Streetlights flickered, casting erratic shadows across the pavement. My car was parked just a few feet away. "Run," Aaron said. We sprinted toward it, but halfway there, a second voice echoed from the darkness. "Emily." Not the one from the window. Not the fake, distorted imitation. Softer voice. Broken one. Turned. And my blood ran cold. Someone stood in the far corner of the alley. Plump. Barely standing. Clothes torn. Face bruised. And it was Adam. I whispered. Aaron grabbed me. "No. You don't know if that's him." But this one didn't smile. His eyes didn't glow. He looked terrified, desperate. "Emily," he choked out, stumbling forward. "Please, please don't go to him. The one outside. That's not me." I stared at him, torn between horror and hope. Aaron stepped in front of me. "Okay, if you're really Adam, tell me something only he would know." Adam's breathing hitched. His voice shook. "Our 10th birthday. You pushed me off the swing at the park and told Mom I fell. You lied for 3 years until you finally confessed." Aaron blinked. "That's true," he whispered. But Adam wasn't finished. "And Emily," he said, turning to me. "Your bracelet, the silver one you lost at the beach, I'm the one who found it. I just never had the courage to give it back." His voice cracked. I kept it with me until they took me. My breath shattered. My knees nearly gave out. Only one person could have known that. Aaron, I whispered. That's really him. But before we could take another step toward him, a loud thud slammed against the front door of my apartment, followed by another, and another. The creature knew we escaped. Adam turned his head sharply toward the sound, panic contorting his bruised features. It can't be near me, he whispered. It hunts what it mimics. I'm not supposed to be alive. My breath froze. What does it want? I asked. He looked at me with exhausted, terrified eyes. To replace me, he said. To replace anyone. Takes faces, memories, voices. He swallowed. And once it copies someone, it kills the original. Chill tore through me. Aaron whispered. So if it came for Emily, then it wants her next, Adam finished. Suddenly, a shadow slid across the brick wall at the end of the alley. Longer than a human shadow. Twisted. Stretching too far to be real. Adam's face drained of color. It followed you, he whispered. Aaron grabbed my hand. Run. We bolted. But behind us came the unmistakable sound of fingers scraping across concrete. Emily. Not whispered. Ward. The creature's voice split the night apart. And I realized something horrifying. It wasn't calling for me. It was calling for the real Adam. We ran. Not because we thought we could escape, but because instinct demanded it. Survival demanded it. The alley seemed to stretch endlessly as footsteps, not quite human, not quite animal, scraped across the pavement behind us. Every sound echoed like a threat. Every shadow breathed. This way! Aaron shouted, pulling me toward the far end of the alley. Adam limped behind us, struggling to keep up. He looked weak, malnourished, barely alive, a ghost of the person he once was. But the thing chasing us, that thing was lively. Too lively. I could hear it gaining. A scraping step, a dragging sound, a low hiss, like the inhale of something that didn't need air but wanted to imitate it anyway. Emily! It called from behind, voice tearing through the night. Not Adam's voice now. Deeper. Hungrier. Won't. I didn't look back. I didn't dare. We burst out of the alley and into an abandoned parking lot lit by a single flickering streetlight. The moment our feet hit the open ground, Adam stumbled and fell hard onto the asphalt. Adam! I dropped to my knees beside him. He winced, clutching his ribs. No time, Aaron said, grabbing him under one arm. We have to keep moving. Adam shook his head. It's not chasing you. It's chasing me. I'm the unfinished copy. His voice cracked with raw terror. It wants to erase the original. I helped lift him again. We're not leaving you. But he grabbed my wrist with surprising strength. You don't understand. When it sees you with me, it learns you better. Mimics more. A voice. Your expressions. Your memories. Froze. My memories. That thing's earlier smile flashed through my mind, stretched too wide, but trying to imitate something it had seen on my face before. Trying to copy emotion. Trying to perfect the disguise. Aaron swallowed hard. We need to get somewhere with locked doors. Bright lights. People. The hospital, I breathed. Exactly. He practically dragged us across the lot toward the street, but then Adam suddenly stiffened, eyes widening in horror. It's here. Turn. First I saw nothing. Just darkness. Just the flickering streetlight. Then the darkness moved. A shape detached itself from the edge of the shadows. Tall, crooked, wrong in all the ways a human body isn't allowed to be. Limbs too long. Head tilted as though its neck was learning how to function. Its gait slow but confident, like a predator who knew its prey had nowhere left to run. Then, its face came into the light. A perfect copy of Adam's. Only the eyes were wrong, glowing faintly, swirling like there was something crawling behind them. I grabbed Aaron's arm. Run! We bolted across the street, cars honking as we stumbled into traffic. Tires screeched, horns blared, But none of it mattered. Behind us, the creature stepped into the road. And every car that approached it swerved violently, like drivers instinctively understood that thing was not human, that to hit it would be a mistake fate wouldn't forgive. Aaron dragged me toward a 24-hour clinic down the block. "Almost there," he yelled. Adam lagged behind, breath ragged, body failing him. "Aaron," I gasped. "He can't keep up." Aaron skidded to a stop, turning back. "Adam, come on, man." But Adam didn't move. He was rooted to the sidewalk, staring at the creature. "No," he whispered. "I can't outrun it. Not anymore." "Yes, you can," Aaron shouted, voice breaking. "No," Adam repeated softly. "But Emily can." The creature took another step forward. Then another. Each one deliberate. Predatory. Adam turned to me, and the pain in his eyes made my chest feel like it was collapsing. "I sent you that video because I didn't want to die alone," he said, voice trembling. "But now, I don't want you two to die with me." Tears burned my eyes. "Adam, don't. Go," he whispered, "before it chooses you instead." The creature stopped just a few feet from him. It tilted its head as if analyzing him, comparing him, deciding how to fix its broken copy. Adam swallowed, raised his trembling chin, and stepped forward. "Take me, not them." Aaron lunged toward him. "No." But Adam shoved him back with the last strength he had. The creature's mouth stretched slowly into that same horrifying smile, the one that didn't belong on a human face. The one that meant it had chosen its target. Adam's final words were barely audible. "I'm sorry I left you, Emily. And I'm sorry I dragged you into this." The creature lunged. "No," I screamed. But Aaron grabbed me, pulling me around the corner. I heard the sound. Not a scream. Not a struggle. Just a sickening, wet snap. And then a silence so complete it felt like the night was holding its breath. My legs gave out, but Aaron caught me before I fell. "We have to go," he whispered, voice breaking. "We have to go now." We fled into the clinic entrance, the automatic doors sliding open with a mechanical beep. The lights inside were painfully bright, disinfectant stinging my nose. But before the doors slid shut behind us, I looked back. The creature was stepping into the streetlight again. Only this time, its posture was different. Its shoulders were straighter, its movement smoother, its face more accurate. The glow in its eyes faded. It looked exactly like Adam now. Exactly. And as the clinic doors closed, sealing us inside, it lifted its head and smiled. The next morning arrived slowly, dragging behind it the heavy weight of everything I had discovered. Barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the flicker of Ethan's final message, the way the shadows wrapped around him, the way his voice trembled when he said he didn't have much time left. I sat on the edge of my bed, staring at the little black notebook I had taken from his father's storage room. The notebook I had been too afraid to open last night. Ethan's last possession, his final thoughts, his hidden truth. I took a deep breath, flipped the cover open, and began reading. The first pages were normal. Doctors' names, medication schedules, and appointment reminders. But further in, his handwriting grew frantic, uneven. Words scrawled over words. Sentences scratched out. And then one line hit me so hard that I felt my chest physically tighten. "If something happens to me, don't believe the first story you hear." My fingers trembled. Ethan knew. He knew he was in danger. I turned the page. They offered money for silence, but I couldn't let them keep doing it. I recorded everything. I hid copies. They won't stop unless someone exposes them. My heart pounded. Exposes who? At the bottom of the page, barely legible. "If I die, they'll say it was an accident." A chill wrapped around me like a cold hand. Ethan's overdose wasn't an overdose at all. His last video wasn't a haunting mystery. It was a warning. Cry for justice. And I wasn't done. Not even close. I took the notebook and went straight to the police station. For the first time I felt strong enough to speak the truth. I told the detective everything. The emails, the storage unit, the recordings, the threats, the fact that Ethan had predicted his own death. He frowned as he listened, taking notes, asking questions. But then something strange happened. He asked for Ethan's notebook, and when I held it out, my hand still gripping it tightly, he said, "You can leave it here. We'll handle the rest." Something about his voice made my stomach twist. Something about how quickly he reached for it. How calm he was. I hesitated. "What's wrong?" he asked, expression unreadable. I forced a smile, pulled the notebook back and said, "I'll bring it tomorrow. I need to photocopy everything first." His jaw tightened, just barely, but I saw it. "Of course," he said. "Take your time." I walked out of that police station with a burning certainty. Someone in that building knew exactly what happened to Ethan. That night, I returned home and locked every door. I replayed Ethan's final video again, frame by frame, until one tiny detail caught my eye. Something I had somehow missed before. In the reflection of the metal shelf behind him. Badge. Police badge. Just the corner of it. But unmistakable. My blood turned to ice. Ethan hadn't just been running from random criminals. He was hiding from someone inside the system. Someone still alive. Someone watching. Suddenly my phone lit up. New message. From an unknown number. My breath caught as I opened it. A single line. "You should have stopped looking." Followed by a video file. My hands shook violently as I tapped it open. First only darkness. Then a dim light flickered. A figure stepped partially into frame. Face hidden, voice distorted. But the background was unmistakable. The same cold, concrete room from Ethan's last recording. The figure lifted something into the light. Something small. Something black. Ethan's notebook. And then the distorted voice spoke. "You're next if you don't hand it over." The video ended abruptly. For a long moment I couldn't move. Couldn't breathe. They knew I had it. They knew I had seen everything. I grabbed my keys and the notebook and ran. I didn't even know where I was going. I just knew I had to get away from my house, from that message, from whoever sent it. I drove until I reached the edge of town, where the old radio tower sat abandoned. I parked, climbed out, and held the notebook tightly to my chest. The wind howled around me, cold and sharp. I opened to the last page. A page I hadn't noticed before because it had been folded inward. Hidden between the back cover and the spine. Ethan's final message. His handwriting shaky but clear. "If you're reading this, it means they got to me. But it also means you didn't give up. Please, tell the world what happened. Finish what I couldn't. Don't let them silence you too." A tear slid down my cheek. Not from sadness. From determination. I pulled out my phone, opened my camera and started recording. "Ethan," I whispered, looking into the lens. "I'm going to finish this. I promise." The wind roared around me, but I kept filming. I told everything. Every detail, every secret, every clue Ethan left behind. When I was done, I uploaded the video everywhere I could. Dozens of platforms. Anonymous accounts. Mirrored backups. If anything happened to me now, the truth was already out. I climbed back into my car, clutching the notebook one last time. A quiet peace settled over me. A strange, bittersweet calm. Ethan was gone. But his voice wasn't. His truth wasn't. And now, his story would never be buried again. As I started the engine, my phone buzzed once more. A notification. Comment on the video I had just posted. It read, "I knew Ethan. He wasn't the only one they took." My breath caught. There was more. More victims. More secrets. More truth still hiding in the dark. And suddenly I understood. This wasn't the end of the story. It was only the beginning. If you've watched this far, you're officially part of the investigation. So tell me, where in the world are you watching from? And before you leave, hit subscribe so you don't miss what comes next. Because the truth. This story isn't over. And neither are they.